My wife gave our son her ex's last name by accident. When I found out at the pediatrician's office, she said, well, it's just a name. Now she's telling people I abandoned the family. I'm Nathan, 33, male, and I can still hear the nurse's voice in that quiet pediatrician's office like a thunderclap in my skull. Mr. Reeves, your son is listed under Caleb Morgan. Is that correct? Morgan, not Reeves. Not my last name. I blinked at her, thinking maybe I'd heard wrong. My wife, Jess, 31, female, was sitting beside me, scrolling her phone like this was any other Tuesday. Our son, Levi, he's just 3, was chewing on a plastic dinosaur, unaware his entire identity was being rewritten without me knowing. Sorry, I said, forcing a smile. That must be a mistake. Our last name is Reeves. The nurse furrowed her brow. This is what's on the insurance and birth certificate. And that's when I looked at Jess. She froze. Not like startled, more like caught. I asked, why does it say Morgan? And I swear to God she didn't even flinch. Just locked her phone, looked me in the eye and said, well, it's just a name. I stood up. I didn't even mean to. I was shaking. I remember Levi dropping the dinosaur and reaching for me, but my hands felt too far away. The nurse looked like she wanted to disappear. I asked again, quieter, slower, Jess, why does our son have your ex's last name? That's when she had the audacity to sigh. Nathan, don't make a scene. I didn't make a scene. Not there. I grabbed Levi, whispered something to the nurse about rescheduling, and walked out. I don't remember driving home. I was just in motion, moving because sitting still meant collapsing. Let me back up. Jess and I have been together 7 years, married 5. We met at a tech conference. She was marketing, I was back-end engineering, opposites in every way. She had this loud laugh and chaotic energy that made rooms feel like dance floors. I was background noise, quiet, analytical, steady. Her ex, Matt Morgan, 32, male, was everything I wasn't. College athlete turned gym influencer turned businessman, which in his case means podcasting and brand deals for protein powders no one asked for. They dated for years. She swore it was over before we met. I believed her. Maybe I shouldn't have. The name Morgan was never supposed to be in our home again. She promised. I confronted her the second we got inside. And her defense? I was stressed during labor. I just defaulted to the name on my old insurance forms. It wasn't intentional, except she had 9 months, and hospital paperwork is detailed. There are forms, signatures, multiple steps. I called her a liar. She started crying, hard, accused me of overreacting, said I was ruining the peace in our family over something symbolic. Symbolic? Our son's name is not symbolic. It's identity. It's belonging. It's the legacy I was building. But Jess, she kept saying the same phrase over and over. It's just a name, Nathan. You're his dad. What does it matter? It matters because it wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. And now I'm starting to realize how many other choices she's made without me. We didn't speak for 2 days after that. Well, she tried. Jess tried every angle. Apologies that didn't sound like apologies. Excuses wrapped in fake vulnerability. I was exhausted. The nurses rushed me. You weren't even in the room yet. She even tried playing the nostalgia card. How stressed she was after the emergency C-section. How she just wanted to go home and rest and hold our baby. But the name? She never changed it. She had 3 years. I looked into it. You can amend a birth certificate. It's not easy, but it's possible. If it had been an honest mistake, there'd be a correction filed. There wasn't. What I didn't tell her, what I was stewing over alone in the garage with a bottle of beer and a Google rabbit hole open on my phone, was that I'd found something, an Instagram post. One of those motivational stories Matt Morgan posts daily, usually shirtless and shouting about legacy, bloodlines, strength, except this one. This one had a caption, "My son will know who he is. The name he carries means something. Strength, loyalty, discipline. Morgan Legacy, our fatherhood." Posted 3 years ago, 2 weeks after Levi was born. I didn't even know they still followed each other. But he knew. Somehow, Matt knew before I did. I felt sick, like I'd been walking around in someone else's shoes this whole time, thinking they were mine. Raising a child, loving him fiercely, building bedtime rituals and memories, thinking I was the one laying the foundation for his life. And meanwhile, my wife handed him a name soaked in someone else's ego. That night, I told her I wanted a DNA test. Jess froze. Then she laughed. You seriously think he's not yours? She asked, incredulous. I didn't answer. Because I didn't know what to believe anymore. All I knew was, if she could lie about a name, what else had she been lying about? Jess exploded. Exploded, screaming, throwing the remote, accusing me of trying to destroy our family, calling me paranoid, abusive, jealous. And then, her final blow, if you walk away from this, if you leave us over a technicality, don't come crawling back. Everyone will know you abandoned your son. That word. Abandoned. She'd already made up the narrative. She was planting the seed, A few days later, I found out from my sister she'd told people I'd bailed, that I stormed out and left Levi crying, that I was struggling with fatherhood and needed space. I was still in the damn house, just sleeping in the guest room. And now she was poisoning the well. It got worse when I talked to her mom. Jess had told her I was acting like Levi wasn't his and trying to disown the family over nothing. Her mom looked at me with pity, like I was the one spiraling. I wasn't spiraling. I was drowning in lies. The first time I really saw her mask slip was in the kitchen. It was late, maybe 11 p.m. I couldn't sleep. My brain kept running in loops. Morgan, the pediatrician, that Instagram post, Jess's face when I brought it up. I walked in for a glass of water, and she was already there, sitting in the dark, scrolling through her phone with that same expression she wore when she thought no one was watching. Flat, emotionless, calculating. She didn't notice me at first. I stood there for a second, just watching her thumb move. And then, quietly, I asked, "Are you still talking to him?" She flinched. Not big, but enough. Enough to confirm what I already knew. Jess didn't answer. She just set her phone face down on the counter and said, "You're never going to let this go, are you?" I asked again. "Are you still in contact with Matt Morgan?" She turned to me then, and her voice came out ice cold. "He was a big part of my life. Just because you're insecure doesn't mean I have to erase him." Insecure. God, that word hit me like a punch. I'd built this whole life, career, house, family, trying to be a steady, loyal partner. And now, because I dared to question why our son shares a name with her ex, I was insecure. I was still holding the glass when she said it, gripping it so hard I thought it might crack. That's when I asked, again, why she didn't fix the birth certificate. And that's when she said the thing that changed everything. I didn't change it because part of me always thought, if things didn't work out with us, I'd still want Levi to have a name that mattered. A name that mattered. Not mine, not his own father's. Heron Matt's. I set the glass down and just left the room. Because if I stayed, I would have said something I couldn't take back. The next day, I started sleeping at my brother Eric's place. Told Jess I needed time to think. She told everyone I left her. And within 48 hours, the posts started. Single mom life isn't easy, but we rise. Shedding toxic energy for the sake of my son. Sometimes peace costs everything. And just like that, she'd flipped the script. I wasn't a devastated father reeling from betrayal. I was the bad guy. The one who abandoned his kid over a stupid name. She made it sound like I'd walked out over spilled milk. The worst part? Some people believed her. My inbox filled with just checking in messages that had a layer of judgment baked in. Her friends blocked me. Our mutual acquaintances started ghosting me. And Levi? Levi kept asking when Daddy was coming back. My brother recorded him one night, just a blurry video of a toddler holding up his dinosaur and saying, show Daddy, show Daddy." That broke me. She was weaponizing the kid now, turning my son into a pawn in a game I didn't even know we were playing. The first time I saw her with Matt Morgan again, it was outside Levi's daycare. I had just picked him up. He was in the back seat, half asleep, clutching his ratty dinosaur plush, when I saw Jess step out of an SUV I didn't recognize. It wasn't her usual car, and then Matt stepped out behind her. Tight shirt, designer sunglasses, that same smug energy he always had, like the world was just a backdrop for his personal documentary. I stayed parked across the street, watched them hug. Not a casual hug, not a we're co-parenting hug. He picked her up, spun her. She was laughing. And Levi? He saw too. He perked up, eyes wide, and said, "Mommy's with the muscle guy." Muscle guy. That's what Jess used to call him when we first started dating. Back when she made fun of his gym selfies and said she couldn't believe she ever dated that walking protein shake. She laughed about how insecure he was, how needy, how he'd message her for years after they broke up. I guess she answered one of those messages. I didn't confront her. Not then. I waited. I watched. Over the next week, I started getting calls from her friends, not mine. People who hadn't spoken to me in months, suddenly texting, "Are you okay?" And we had no idea things were so bad. Jess had started telling people I was emotionally abusive, that I was manipulative and controlling, that I gaslit her every time she tried to be herself. One of her old coworkers actually sent me a DM saying, "I just want you to know whatever happens legally, Levi will know who really loved him." Legally. It hit me like a gut punch. She was building a custody case, and she was starting early, priming the social circle, shaping the narrative, laying the groundwork. I had to act. That night, I went back to the house to grab some paperwork I needed, Levi's insurance forms, tax docs, anything that tied me to him. Jess wasn't home, but she'd left a framed photo on the kitchen counter. It was Levi, Matt, and her, at the park, taken recently. I could tell by the Band-Aid on Levi's knee. I'd kissed that scrape 3 days ago. On the back of the photo frame, she had written in Sharpie, "My family, my heart." She was replacing me, systematically, socially, legally, emotionally. And the worst part? Levi didn't even know. I sat down on the floor right there in that damn kitchen and cried like I hadn't since I was a kid. Because it wasn't just about her anymore, it was about this slow erasure, this insidious rewriting of our son's origin story. One where I didn't exist, where Matt was the hero and I was some angry ghost on the fringes. But that night, that was the night I stopped grieving and started planning. Update 1. So, wow, I did not expect that kind of response. I've read every single comment, yes, even the unhinged ones accusing me of being the real narcissist. LOL, bold take, Karen, and I just want to say thank you. Seriously, some of y'all made me cry harder than I did in that damn kitchen, and some of you gave me ideas, like dangerously cathartic, petty, brilliant ideas. You know who you are. But let me clear something up real quick. I'm not walking away from my kid. Levi is everything. Every dinosaur name, every sleepy hug, every "I love you, Daddy." He's mine. Blood or not, but yes, he is biologically mine. Got the paternity test 2 weeks ago quietly through a clinic Jess doesn't know about. He's my son, which makes what I'm about to do a rescue mission. Let me back up a sec. After I found that photo frame, my family, my heart, I started documenting everything. Every shady DM Jess sent. Every time she posted Levi with Matt and tagged it number cozy cofam, I nearly puked. Every text she sent where she refused my visitation, "He's sick today," or "He's too tired after seeing Matt," went in a folder. I dug through old emails, hospital records, even pulled the original birth certificate. Sure enough, Jess had listed Matt Morgan as an alternate contact under the Father Information Pending section before I ever arrived at the hospital. That's not a mistake. That's a strategy. And you know what? So is mine now. I've got a lawyer, not a cheap one. I called in every favor I could, pulled money from savings, even pawned an old guitar my dad left me. Worth it. Because this guy, he's a shark. He doesn't blink. And when I told him everything, he just said, "She's building a false narrative. Let's dismantle it. We're going for joint custody, maybe full, if it comes to that." I've got receipts, photos, timestamps, the paternity test, even character statements from her old coworkers who don't buy her victim act. One of them said Jess was openly joking at work about how Matt's brand would help Levi's future more than mine ever could. Let that sink in. This isn't just about names or pride anymore. It's about protecting my kid from a woman who sees children as PR accessories. Also, one of you commented, "Make her explain it in court. Say nothing. Let her say it out loud that she chose her ex's name for your son." That stuck with me, because she's never had to say it in front of a judge before. But she will, soon, and I'm going to sit there and watch her squirm. Here's where things started getting ugly, and I stopped playing defense. Jess didn't know I'd lawyered up yet. I kept it clean. I picked up Levi when she allowed it, didn't push too hard, didn't argue when she threw shade over text or sent passive-aggressive reminders about Levi's bedtime. But behind the scenes, I was setting a trap. See, one thing Jess didn't anticipate, that I'd start playing her game. I created a burner Instagram, followed her, Matt, and a bunch of their wannabe influencer friends. Didn't comment, just watched, collected, and oh, they gave me gold. There was a reel. Jess doing a day in the life as a single mom that featured Matt bringing Levi orange slices at his soccer practice. She captioned it, "Co-parenting, goals with this guy, blessed." Another video had Levi in the background calling Matt daddy. That one gutted me, but also, it gave me exactly what I needed. My lawyer and I compiled all of it. He said, and I quote, "She's branding your son like a startup. Judges hate that, especially when there's proof she's deliberately alienating the biological father." But I wanted one more thing, one more twist of the knife. So I sent a message to Matt from the burner. Something simple. "Hey, does Levi know you're not his real dad?" Didn't expect a reply. But 2 hours later, I got one. "You're just mad she picked the better man. Levi will be fine without your drama." That was it. He knew. They both did. They knew exactly what they were doing. This wasn't about confusion or trauma or labor stress. This was about erasure. So, I made a choice. The next time Jess tried to deny me a scheduled visit, said Levi was too emotional lately and needed space, I showed up anyway, not at her house, at the daycare. I had my court paperwork, my ID, and the lawyer on standby. The daycare director hesitated. I showed her the custody paperwork and told her calmly, "You can call her if you want, but if she tries to block this again, I'm filing for emergency temporary custody tomorrow." She didn't call Jess. She brought Levi out. He ran to me, jumped into my arms. "Daddy," just like always. And while I was buckling him in, Jess arrived. Screeching tires. Hair a mess. She got out and started screaming in the parking lot, accusing me of kidnapping, of violating our agreement, of traumatizing Levi. She tried to yank open the back door, but Levi screamed. He said, No, I want daddy. Everything stopped. She stood there, frozen, shaking, eyes wild. People were watching now, parents, teachers, phones were out. She realized she was making a scene. And Jess? She doesn't do scenes she can't control. So she backed off, smiled, smoothed her hair like nothing happened. But I saw it, the flicker in her eyes. She knew she'd lost ground. That night, I tucked Levi into bed at my brother's house, read him his favorite dinosaur book, and told him he was safe, that no matter what happened, Daddy wasn't going anywhere. And in that moment, I stopped feeling helpless. She went nuclear. 2 days after the daycare scene, Jess showed up at my brother Eric's house, unannounced, banging on the door like she was the cops and I'd stolen a body. Eric was in the driveway changing the oil on his truck. He stood up, all grease-streaked and confused, and Jess just shoved past him like he didn't exist. "Where is he?" she screamed. I was in the kitchen with Levi, who immediately started crying the second he heard her voice. I stepped between her and the hallway. Calm, steady, I said, "You need to leave." She exploded. I mean full on, mascara running, screaming into the abyss-level meltdown. "You are kidnapping my son. You are turning him against me. This is my child. You don't get to steal what I made." What I made. That phrase will haunt me for the rest of my life. Eric stepped in. Tried to defuse it. She shoved him. Like physically shoved him out of the way. That's when he pulled out his phone, started recording. "Get that out of my face," she shrieked. But it was too late. She was on video, yelling, pushing, unhinged. I escorted her outside. Tried to close the door. She kicked it. Kicked. My brother's front door. Splintered the wood, left a mark that's still there. Eric filed a police report. We didn't press charges yet, but the report exists. And now, so does the video. I gave it all to my lawyer. The next week, she filed for emergency full custody, said I was mentally unstable, manipulative, and potentially violent. Included statements from 2 of her friends, people I haven't seen in years, saying they were concerned for Levi's emotional safety. But you know what she didn't include? That she kicked a door in front of our child, that she tried to rip him out of my car, that she's letting her ex parade around like the real father while posting it online like a damn lifestyle brand. At the hearing, my lawyer played the video. The judge went dead silent. And when Jess tried to cry, real tears, shaking hands, dabbing her eyes with a tissue, he stopped her mid-sentence. "Ms. Morgan," he said, "you appear to have confused parenting with possession. She didn't get full custody. She didn't even get primary custody. We were granted 50-50, immediately. Levi stays with me Monday through Thursday, her Friday through Sunday. Exchanges happen at the sheriff's station. Her request for supervised visits? Denied? I didn't celebrate, not in court. But when I got Levi back that night and he curled up next to me, whispering, 'Daddy, can we stay here forever?' 'Yeah,' I cried. And not because I was sad, because we were finally safe. Update 2. So, turns out Jess doesn't take losing well. And by doesn't take it well, I mean she doubled down. She went full Lifetime movie villain meets Instagram motivational speaker meltdown. And Reddit? Y'all called it. Half of you predicted she'd weaponize her social media. The other half said she'd crack under pressure. Both were right. Let's start with the Instagram stories. It began subtle, mopey selfies. Quotes like, "Some people don't deserve forgiveness, but we give it anyway because we're stronger." Then, pictures of Levi, blurry, off guard, usually when he was with her, captioned with passive-aggressive barbs. "You deserve more than chaos, little one. Mommy always fights for you. Even when daddy walks away. Walks away. I won shared custody. I take him to school 4 days a week. I make his lunches. I sing the dinosaur song every night, and now she's implying I'm absent?" Then she posted a damn carousel. First photo, Levi with Matt Morgan at the park. Second photo, a fake letter from Levi that read, in toddler scrawl font, "Thank you for being my safe place, Matt." Third photo, a long caption about how sometimes family is chosen. Blood doesn't make you a parent. Love does. That one broke something in me. Because Levi didn't write that letter. He's 4. He can barely spell truck. That was Jess, using my son to boost some faux inspirational narrative where I am the villain and Matt, her ex, is the knight in Under armor. So I made a choice. I posted one photo, just one. It was me and Levi. Saturday morning, he was helping me make pancakes, still in his dinosaur pajamas, flour on his nose. I captioned it simply, no hashtags, no captions, just fatherhood. I didn't tag her, didn't mention her, but it blew up. Friends, family, even people I didn't know started sharing it. And then, one of her old coworkers, one who hated how Jess treated people, DM'd me. She sent me screenshots. Turns out Jess had been DMing influencers and mom bloggers trying to get sponsorships. She pitched herself as a resilient single mom rebuilding after abuse, claimed I abandoned them. said Levi's real father figure was Matt. She was selling our lives as content. I sent those screenshots to my lawyer. He grinned. We're filing for modification of custody. With all the evidence, videos, screenshots, social media manipulation, emotional coaching, we've got a real shot at primary custody. But the part that really gets me? Levi doesn't know any of this. He just knows daddy's here. That when he calls out at night, I answer. That I never stopped choosing him. And soon, a judge is going to see that too. The court date for custody modification was set for a Thursday. Jess didn't know about the screenshots. She didn't know that half the moms she'd been pandering to on Instagram had quietly turned on her. That some of them had kids in Levi's daycare. That they'd seen her meltdown in the parking lot. That one of them had written a letter to the court. Character witness. Anonymous, but powerful. It started, I don't know either parent well, but I know what I saw. A woman yelling in front of children. A child screaming. A father stepping in calmly. My lawyer submitted it with the rest. Jess showed up to court in a white blouse and fake humility. You could smell the rehearsed tears before she even sat down. Matt was there too, of course, sitting behind her like her own personal protein-scented security blanket. He didn't speak, just glared, like I'd ruined his little influencer side quest. Jess gave her testimony, talked about my control issues, my emotional coldness, my need for power. She called Levi a sensitive soul who needs a nurturing environment, not a rigid one. Then my lawyer stood up and played the video. Her screaming, Levi crying. Then we handed over the screenshots. The fake letter from Levi, the influencer pitches. Then came the witness statements from her people, a coworker, a neighbor, a former friend who said, quote, she weaponizes motherhood. She doesn't co-parent. She auditions. Jess stopped crying somewhere in the middle of that because she knew it was over. The judge didn't yell. He didn't even raise his voice. He just looked at her like he was tired. Deep, old tired. And he said this, Ms. Morgan, parenting is not a performance. It's not a brand. And it is not your ex's burden to prove your fitness. It is your responsibility to demonstrate it. You have failed to do so. I was awarded primary custody. Jess gets alternating weekends. No overnights until she completes a parenting course. No unsupervised exchanges. And a court order forbidding her from posting Levi's image on any social media platform. You could hear Matt whisper, what the fires under his breath. I almost smiled, but I didn't, because the best part was yet to come. I handed the bailiff one last envelope. My lawyer had filed it quietly, a name change petition, to officially amend Levi's birth certificate. Jess looked up, startled. Wait, no, you can't do that. The judge raised an eyebrow. It is the child's legal father requesting the change, he said, and the child resides with him. Your prior explanation for the existing name is not compelling. Petition granted. It's official now. Levi Reeves, my son, my name, not Morgan. The day the name change papers came in the mail, Levi was sitting at the kitchen table drawing a T-Rex in blue crayon. I opened the envelope slowly, not because I was nervous, but because I wanted to remember the moment, to hold it still. I told him gently, hey buddy, remember how your name used to be Levi Morgan? He nodded. Like the dinosaur guy. He still thought Morgan was someone from TV. I said, it's different now. It's Levi Reeves. That's Daddy's name. That's our name. He stared at me for a second, then smiled. I like it. It sounds fast, like a dinosaur, like a rocket, like freedom. I hugged him, hard, maybe too hard, but I didn't want to let go. Jess didn't take it well. Shocker. She showed up to her next weekend visit an hour late, blasting music from her car with Matt in the passenger seat, sunglasses on like he was still trying to convince someone, maybe himself, that he mattered. Levi ran out, hugged her, then turned back and shouted, bye, Daddy, Levi Reeves out. I wish you could have seen her face. She pulled me aside, hissed it under her breath. You think this changes anything? You think he'll forget who fought for him? I looked her dead in the eyes and said, he won't forget. That's why I'm making sure he knows who actually showed up. She didn't speak to me after that, but she did try one last move, a podcast. She launched a podcast called Mending with Jess, because of course she did. The cover art was her, barefoot on a couch, holding a mug that said, Mama Bear, with some fake foliage in the background. Her first episode was titled, When the Courts Fail Mothers. She never used my name, but everyone knew. She called me the absentee, the control freak, the one who lied. She said the court rewarded manipulation and that sometimes the better man doesn't win, just the louder one. That episode stayed up for 6 days. Then it vanished because my lawyer filed a cease and desist, citing defamation and violation of the court's gag order on public discussion of Levi. But the damage was already done. People saw it for what it was. Performance art. Her follower count tanked. Sponsorships she was this close to locking in pulled out. Even Matt distanced himself, Rumor is he started a new fitness brand and didn't want legal drama tied to the family image. She posted one last story. Black background, white text. Some people would rather win a battle than raise a child. I'm done fighting. Then she went quiet. Levi hasn't asked about Matt in weeks. He's focused on dinosaurs and picture books and learning to spell his new last name. And me? I'm just a dad, making breakfast, singing bedtime songs, folding little dinosaur t-shirts and remembering the day a woman tried to erase me and failed. I didn't win because I fought harder. I won because I never stopped being his father, even when she made him carry someone else's name. Now, he carries mine, and no one can take that from us.